It's not a zero-sum game.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you just said exactly what I said in a way better way.
So, hey, I'm Suzanne Caldeira with Guaranteed Rate, and maybe you were just randomly online Googling, looking for a real estate attorney, and you're going to be in for a treat if you decide to watch this video, because I'm in with Eric Pacy, who's a real estate attorney in Massachusetts, Maine, and New Hampshire, and does such a great job that I thought, hey, let's get to know him and talk to him a little bit about how his practice works and what he likes to do. But I'd also like to get to the heart of it. And you got to tell people a little bit about you. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah. Hi, Suzanne. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome.
So I grew up in Rowley, Massachusetts, which is a little kind of farm town up on the North Shore near Newburyport. It was kind of in a middle-class family. Worked for my father's tree business for, until I got to college. I went to UMass Dartmouth, so down on the South Shore, kind of got some contacts down there. And I got an English degree. The thing they don't tell you about an English degree is once you have that, there's not a ton of people banging down your door for a job, right? So I was back to work, cutting down trees again. And then it came to be that, it was recommended that I try law school. So I tried that. But as I was talking to you before, I was never really the one to watch Law and Order. I wasn't really the combative type of person. I more went to law school for the challenge of it. And I thought it would be a good fit. So I did go to law school. I did really well on the entrance exam. And so I figured it was a good thing to do. Came out of law school. I did focus in transactional areas of the law, so contracts and property were things that I was always interested in. But I ultimately sort of just happened upon real estate as a practice area when I got out, kind of serendipitously. First time I got to a closing table just as a paralegal working at a large firm, I saw, buyers who were happy to be there and sellers who were happy to be there. And, everybody's high-fiving and smiling. And I figured, this is the practice of law. Sign me up for that, rather than, I had experiences in large firms doing more confrontational areas of the law that were a lot less joyful. So it ended up being a really good fit for me.
All I could think of as you were saying your story was the dun-dun, the Law and Order thing. So
yeah.
That's definitely a big difference to real estate law. What do you think that you enjoy the most about it?
At the end of the day, everybody's pushing in the same direction, right? It's an area of the law where you are negotiating with the other side, so you have to be able to represent your client and ultimately protect their interests and get what they want. But at the end of the day, buyers and sellers both want the same thing. The seller wants to sell the house. The buyer wants to buy the house. And the negotiation is really just trying to plan for things that might be unexpected, that might come up. And just trying to figure out what's a fair resolution to those types of things. It's never, nobody's trying to really club anybody over the head for the most part. It's just trying to figure out what's going to be fair and thinking through problems that might happen in the future. So I like that, collaborative aspect of it. I also like people, right? It's nice to do things like this, Suzanne, and meet new people and figure out how other people's process work, and making sure that, everybody's working together to get to the closing table.
Yeah, that's true. How have you seen the difference in the market that we're in now? And this is being recorded in 2021. We're coming off of COVID and just an epic increase in sales and in volume and inventory shortages. So how has that affected you, or what have you seen?
Yeah, so some of that collaboration I was talking about is going out the window, right? It's such a heavily seller's market right now that it's really easy for a seller to maybe say, "Oh, you don't take it or leave it." You don't like what my suggestion is here. There were 11 other buyers that were just as eager as you to buy this house. So we're seeing a lot fewer home inspections in the first place, unfortunately. But even then, once there is a home inspection, I'm seeing a lot fewer, sellers willing to fix certain things, a lot less sellers, willing to give back some money so that the buyer has something in their pocket to fix something after closing. Those types of, resolutions that used to be really common, and we all just kind of looked at it together and said, all right, what's fair here? Because there are so many buyers who are so aggressive, a lot of sellers aren't really willing to work with buyers on things like that. So that's been an unfortunate side effect of the seller's market. And another thing has been just the beating that a buyer has to take a lot of the time right now. I have a lot of clients that I see at closing, and they've submitted, 20 to 30 offers before they got one accepted. And they feel like they've been through an ordeal a lot of the time, and they're very happy to be there, but they seem exhausted.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out the longer that it goes on. But it's good to see that you're empathetic to it. What do you see as some of the things that that buyers should be looking for when they're getting representation? Like what do you think is important for an attorney to do for a client in Massachusetts, for instance?
Yeah. So Massachusetts is different from some of the other states that I do closings in because it is an attorney state. So it's pretty unique in the country where we have, in a residential transaction, you have the offer at the beginning that the attorney doesn't look at. And then after that, after you've done your due diligence in theory, right, then an attorney steps in and they, stretch that 2-page offer into a 15-page purchase and sale agreement. That's when the negotiation that I was talking about happens. One of the things is I don't think this is a very controversial thing to say, but you really want to work with somebody who specializes in real estate. When you graduate law school, they don't put a specialty on your diploma. They just give you the diploma, you pass the bar, and there's no specialization there. So in theory, any attorney can practice any kind of law, but just like anything else, people specialize and they become really good at one thing versus another thing. And there are general practitioners that are really good that do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But you really want in real estate somebody who specializes in this, who understand the sort of collaborative nature that I was talking about before. Anybody that's been in real estate for a while will, have the Uncle Fred story where, one of the parties' uncle is an attorney and they're going to help them out on this one, but they're a litigator. And so they're fighting with you over every little detail in the purchase and sale agreement. And, the details are important, but there are some things that everybody understands that we've already worked out. Here's the fair way to handle this. And then so you get those, it just strains the relationship between the buyer and the seller, and it leads to everybody having a worse experience at the end. And a lot of the time, unfortunately, it kills the deal because those, other attorneys that are used to fighting with people are more willing to say, you know what? Let's kill this deal, right? Whereas real estate attorneys understand that the best way to represent your client is to make sure they get what they want, which is to buy the property. And obviously have good marketable title to the property and have their deposit protected and everything like that. But at the end of the day, we want to own the place. And real estate attorneys kind of understand that part of it, whereas a trial lawyer might be a bad fit for that kind of a conversation.
I think that's a great example because there have been times from the loan officer side where I get a frustration because I feel like an attorney is just taking it to the nth degree or trying to justify their fee or something that just doesn't make sense when it's just a small thing. If there could just be a little bit of compromise.
Right.
Even though I know it's not a much of a compromising market in a way, because the seller
right.
can say bye-bye to you, but I think the one-in contract is better than the contract that maybe you don't have, if that makes sense.
Right. And yeah, and to what you said, part of the value that the real estate attorney brings, and just like a really good real estate agent will bring to a transaction too, is, there's not going to be a lot of flexibility on the seller side right now in this market. So how can we still get the buyers what they want? You have to kind of be creative. What types of things can we come up with that doesn't cost the seller anything, but gets the buyer closer to getting what they want? That kind of lateral thinking when you're trying to solve an issue like that is something that, transactional attorneys might be better suited for than a trial lawyer who's black and white, win or lose type of a deal.
It's not a zero-sum game.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you just said exactly what I said in a way better way.
Sometimes I'm good with learning sayings, I should say. What's the strangest piece of negotiation you've ever seen in a transaction, or one that just kind of had you scratching your head going, this is nuts?
I had one recently that was very strange in the current context, which might not have been strange, 6-7 years ago, but is very unusual in this situation. A buyer of mine, this is, usually before I get involved. I usually get involved with a purchase and sale agreement after an offer has already been submitted and accepted. But in this case, I was just kind of privy to the negotiation, and the buyer submitted an offer, and the seller sort of foolishly, I guess, counter offered and said, well, I want you to waive X, Y, and Z of your contingencies. And so the buyer wisely said, why do you want me to do that? Do you have any other offers? And they said, oh yeah, we have this other offer. And so, all right, can you show us part of it? And they show part of that other offer. And it turns out it's a much worse offer. And they only had the 2 offers. And so once we saw that other offer, we revised our price down pretty significantly and sent that to them again. So it's almost like you've insulted us with this counter offer. Here's less money than we originally offered. And they accepted the offer. So that is, I wouldn't recommend that strategy in this market. It's very unusual. So just the strangest story that I had heard recently in a purchase and sale negotiation. Very unusual to submit a second offer that's lower than the first offer and have it accepted.
Yeah, that's a great win though for the buyer.
Good win for the buyer. The seller was not very happy. Rightfully
so. But they showed their cards.
Exactly.
So when you're not practicing law and helping out doing closings, what's downtime, Eric, look like?
Well, I feel like I used to have a lot of hobbies. Before COVID, I like to play a lot of sports, basketball and football, and I used to, practice jujitsu and things like that. A lot of that sort of slowed down and stopped even before COVID when I had my son. So now my downtime is a lot of chasing a maniacal toddler around the house. But it's fun. That's what we do.
There's where the jiu-jitsu helps you. You can have like those quick cat like reflexes.
Exactly. Yeah. Very important.
So what belt did you get up to? Does it have belts? See, I don't even know. Is it like karate?
It is. You can kind of go the belt route where you wear a gi and then there's no gi. And I did more of the no gi. I wrestled in high school, and that was something that sort of came easily to me. So when I was looking for a physical sport to do, that one, somebody suggested it to me. So check it out. And so there's not really a belt progression necessarily in the no-gi version of jiu-jitsu, but you do both mostly if you're going to do one. I never got beyond a blue belt. I wasn't very good at it.
Yeah. Does it have a lot of rules and disciplines?
Oh yeah, it's extremely complicated. Just the individual techniques are extremely complicated. I never competed really, so I never got my mind around the scoring system and how that all works. I know how you win, but I don't know how you score points and outpoint somebody in jiu-jitsu. So,
well, I'll share this story. I read this book many years ago. It was a fiction. I like to read fiction sometimes at night to just shut off the brain. And the character was like this little badass woman who was 5'2" or almost 5'2". And she was a detective. So she would like kick people's asses. So I said, oh my God, I want to take Muay Thai if I'm saying it right.
Oh God,
so I found a place in Rhode Island, signed up for a trial class. And I just did not do well because it was just trying to teach me some of the basics and then the rules of like, you got to take your shoes off, you got to do this. I'm like, when do we fight? Like, I want to fight. So that I lasted one day.
Yeah. Oh, Muay Thai is no joke. You went straight to the black diamond as far as martial arts goes.
All I can say is I went to a session, so it makes for a cool story. Well, I am delighted that you said yes to being on my YouTube channel, and hopefully you get found if anyone's randomly searching for a real estate attorney. Now, if somebody had questions, if they were thinking about getting into contract or they don't have a real estate attorney, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me to this.
You're welcome.
The best way to get a hold of me, you can go to pacylaw.com. You can send an email through there. My email address personally is eric@pacylaw.com. Pretty simple. And then the phone number is 781-909-3550. Hit extension 1 that goes to my cell phone. I try to be available all the time as much as possible. If I'm in a closing, I pretty much, that's the time I don't answer my phone. In the real estate business, closings happen during the week, but contracts happen on the weekend. So you kind of have to just accept that you're going to be working on the weekend, just like you are, Suzanne. I always tell my clients, I don't charge by the hour. I'm not that kind of a lawyer. Call me all the time and anytime.
Yeah, I once had a real estate attorney that I'm really friendly with out of Rhode Island, and he said, if we got paid by the hour, like he didn't use a litigator as an example, but just
Right.
think of a litigator getting $350 or $450 an hour or maybe more.
Right.
He said it just wouldn't make sense, but
Right.
you do it because you enjoy it and because you love it, and I can definitely see that you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So thank you again for saying yes.
Yeah, thank you.